My name is Martha Reynolds, and I turned 68 last spring. I've spent most of my life in a hospital kitchen, measuring spices the way some people measure years, carefully, hoping the flavor lands just right. Tonight, I'm standing in my own living room in the suburbs of Cleveland, where the lights are warm and the ham smells like molasses, and my son Daniel looks at me as if I've ruined the recipe of his life. He says, "Paying our bills doesn't make you family, Mom." He says it slow, like he wants each word to bruise. Melissa, his wife, lifts her phone as if my face is a storm cloud she needs to record. People on the couch stop chewing. The garland shimmers. The room tilts. I steady my plate on the edge of the table. For a second, I taste nothing. I hear the clink of ice in someone's glass and the hum of a holiday playlist that now feels cruel. I think of all the checks I've written, the car note I covered when the engine coughed, the daycare fees I paid because I wanted their mornings to feel easy. All right, I say, and my voice surprises me because it doesn't shake. The ATM is closed. The music keeps playing. Somewhere in the kitchen, a timer dings. I take off my apron. I walk past my son's confusion and my daughter-in-law's smirk and the small pile of gifts I bought myself just to wrap something with my own name on it. I don't slam doors. I don't explain. I just let the night take that sentence and carry it like a bell into the next day. I didn't sleep. The house held the kind of silence that tastes like tin. Before sunrise, I made coffee and poured it into a mug with a chipped handle. The steam had my back when nothing else did. I stood by the window and watched the snow push its soft shoulder against the curb. Across the street, Mrs. D. Larkin's porch light flicked on, a bright coin against the dark. When I finally checked my phone, it was full of messages that pretended to be questions. Are you serious? Are you okay? Are you done being dramatic? The one from Daniel came last. Mom. I was frustrated. "You know how money stresses me out," I typed. "Then let's take money out of the conversation," and pressed send by 8. I had canceled the automatic transfers I'd set up for their mortgage and their utilities. The bank website kept asking me, "Are you sure?" as if it could hear the tremble in my breath. I clicked yes each time. When the last confirmation screen faded, I exhaled so hard my glasses fogged. Around 9. I packed away the leftovers. I wrapped the ham, tucked rolls into zip bags, slid pecan pie into the fridge. I washed platters I'd owned since '85 when a patient's family gifted them to me after I worked a double on Thanksgiving. I set them in the drying rack and watched water bead on the porcelain. It felt good to make a small order of things. At 10, the phone calls started. Melissa first, skipping hello. "Daniel is spiraling," she said. "You embarrassed us with your little performance." "Embarrassment," I said, was watching my son agree that I'm not family. "You took it out of context," she snapped, and then added a smile I could hear. "Let's not escalate. Just fix the transfers." "I canceled them," I said. "They're not paused. They're done." Silence, then a sharp inhale. "You'll regret this." "No," I said, and I meant it more than I expected. "I'll finally sleep." When she hung up, my hands shook. I placed my palms flat on the counter. I could still feel Daniel's words pulling threads inside me. I knew the real work hadn't begun. Cutting money is easy. Keeping your heart from spending itself anyway, that's the part nobody warns you about. I drove to the hospital out of habit, even though I'd retired in July. The parking lot still smelled like salt and exhaust. I sat in my car and let the heater tick and thought about the decades I spent in the basement kitchen, the metal shelves, the orderly chaos of a breakfast rush, how a line cook knows what you need before you ask. A kitchen is a place where your hands prove your worth. A family should be, too. Somewhere along the way, I forgot to require that. I first started helping Daniel when his student loans came due. It felt natural, like an extension of the casseroles I used to set on the counter when he had a tough week in middle school. Then came the engagement ring, and when the proposal photo went up on Facebook, the caption didn't say who covered the last $400 because a manager cut shifts. It didn't need to. My pride was quiet and full. When the twins were born, the daycare bill was more than their car payment. I didn't hesitate. I told myself I was giving them the smooth sidewalk I never had. Every transfer was a promise I kept. 6 months ago, the hospital called me back for a small retirement ceremony. I wore a navy blouse. The orthopedic surgeon, whose mother I'd once comforted in a long, thin hallway, pulled me aside. His mother had passed, he said, and had left me something for kindness I didn't forget. I thought it would be a quilt or a brooch. It was a check I had to blink twice to read. $900,000. My throat closed around the number. I didn't tell Daniel. I wanted to see if love changed when money did. I learned it doesn't change. It reveals. So I met with a lawyer named Harper who listened more than she spoke. She told me about boundaries like they were a fence you can build without offending the grass. She asked if I'd kept any proof of how I'd been spoken to. I had voice memos from a few heated calls, saved not to trap anyone, but to remind myself not to rewrite history when I missed their laughter. She said, "You don't have to use them. Just know you're not imagining this." That night after the party, I played one back. Melissa's voice. She's basically a walking wallet. It felt like biting foil. I didn't cry. I let the words do their small, ugly work, and then I started mine. By Monday, Daniel's text had shifted from, "You can't be serious," to "I'm worried. The mortgage is due." I replied that worry lives lighter when it doesn't rent space in my bank account. He called. I let it go to voicemail. He left a message where he tried to sound calm and only managed careful, "Mom, Melissa is upset. The kids need stability. We need to talk." We met at a cafe near the highway, the kind where the coffee is better than it looks. He arrived late, coat unzipped, hair failing at being tidy. He hugged me with one arm, the way you hug a person whose answer you can't afford to hear. "Let's be adults," he started, and I almost laughed because that was exactly my plan. "I've been an adult longer than you've been alive," I said. "Let's be specific." He leaned back. "You blindsided us." "You told me I wasn't family," I said. "I took you at your word." He rubbed his face. For a moment, I saw the boy who once cried when he scraped his knee and pressed his cheek to my apron. I wanted to reach for him. Instead, I reached for my coffee. "We can fix this," he said, "just until we're back on our feet." "You have 2 incomes," I said. "You have options. Cut the gym membership. Sell the second car. I helped for years. Danny, I won't help at the price of my dignity." He flinched. "You and your pride." "Me and my boundaries," I corrected. He drummed his fingers on the table. "Melissa says you're trying to humiliate us." "I don't need to try," I said, and the steel in my voice surprised both of us. "You did that at my dining room table." We sat there in a small stalemate, each of us weighing the cost of being right. He finally said, "We have late fees already." "Late fees are not a moral emergency," I said. "They're a calendar." He sighed. "You sound like your lawyer." "I sound like your mother," I said, "who is finally acting like one." He pushed back his chair. "You'll regret this." "I already did," I said gently. "For years." When he left, I watched him cross the parking lot and get into a car I helped him buy. The window fogged as his breath hit it. I let myself feel the ache fully, like letting a kettle scream so you don't forget to turn off the flame. Clara called next. Melissa's mother had always performed wealth the way some people perform hymns, loudly. Convinced volume is proof. She invited me to lunch at a bistro that served salads with names I couldn't pronounce. I wore a sweater I bought on clearance and the pearls my sister left me, because I was done apologizing for the shape of my life. She began with kindness sweet enough to rot. "We're all upset," she said, slicing a tomato with surgical precision. "Daniel is a good man. Melissa is a good wife. Surely you don't want to see your grandchildren suffer." "I don't," I said. "That's why I'm done teaching them that love looks like a monthly deposit." Her smile thinned. "I know about older women who get confused. You're alone. It happens." "Alone," I said, "is not the same as confused." She set down her fork. "You had your career in a kitchen. I respect that. But finances at this level are complex. Paying someone else's phone bill is not high finance," I said. "It's habit." She inhaled like a person smelling smoke. "If you insist on being stubborn, you'll force my hand." "Is that a threat?" I asked, curious to hear its shape. "Melissa has a platform. People listen to her," she said. "Do you want your church ladies seeing you dragged on Facebook?" I pictured the comments section, the strangers who would read a slanted story and feel righteous typing. I also pictured the voice memo on my phone where Melissa called me a walking wallet. I took a sip of water. "I don't want any of this," I said. "I want respect." Clara's eyes were hard little bells. "Then earn it." I paid for my salad. In the parking lot, the winter sun caught on the salt, dusting the asphalt, and everything glittered in a cheap, beautiful way. I sat in my car and forwarded the voice memo to a new email address Harper had helped me set up. She'd said, "Not because we will use it, but because you deserve proof you're not making this up." On the drive home, I rehearsed what I would say at the family meeting Daniel had requested. I practiced the rhythm in my head the way I once practiced chopping onions until my eyes learned to water without panic. Boundaries can sound sharp, I told myself, but they're how you keep from bleeding out. We met in my living room on a Saturday afternoon when the sky looked like it couldn't decide between snow and rain. Daniel sat forward on the couch, elbows on his knees, the way he always has when he's scared. Melissa arranged herself as if cameras might arrive. The twins were with a neighbor. "I'm sorry," Daniel said quickly, the apology tumbling out like a coin. "I shouldn't have said what I said. I was stressed." "Stress is not a hall pass for cruelty," I said. "Apology accepted. Now what's your plan?" Melissa jumped in. "Our plan is you resume the transfers for 3 months while we—" "No," I said. "Your plan, not my bank account." She blinked as if she hadn't heard. "We're doing our best." "Then you'll be fine," I said. Daniel rubbed his neck. "Could you at least pay the late fees? Just this once?" "No," I repeated, and steadied my breathing. The air felt crowded with old habits. Melissa stood. "This is ridiculous. You're choosing pride over family." "I'm choosing self-respect over being used," I said. "That's not the opposite of love." Clara had insisted on coming, and now she cleared her throat from the armchair as if preparing to announce a verdict. "Perhaps we should talk about what Martha can reasonably contribute, given her resources." Daniel shot her a look. Confused, Melissa looked panicked for a split second. I knew then they'd been talking to her about my money, which meant they suspected. Word travels in families the way heat does, through vents you don't notice until you feel it on your face. "My resources," I said, "are not a community pool." Melissa's voice sharpened. "You're being cruel. You called me a walking wallet," I said. Her lips parted. She glanced at Daniel, then at Clara. "That's a lie." I took a breath. "I don't want a fight. I want a boundary. I want an apology that understands the harm, not the optics." Clara's face flushed a careful pink. "This is beneath all of us," she announced. which is something people say right before they step lower. They left in a huff, Melissa muttering about telling our side. Daniel lingered at the door, eyes bright with a kind of fear I recognized. "Mom," he said, "please don't make this worse." "I'm not making anything," I said. "I'm stopping." He nodded once. A little boy gesture slipped into a grown man's body. When the door closed, the house exhaled. I sat down. I didn't cry. I sharpened. The live stream started on a Tuesday evening. I was folding towels when my neighbor texted, "Turn on Facebook, Melissa's live." I opened the app and there she was, framed perfectly in flattering kitchen light, eyes wide with practiced innocence. "My mother-in-law," she began, "has decided to punish us financially. We've done nothing but love her." She dabbed her eye with a tissue that, if I had to bet, was dry. The comments rolled fast. I recognized usernames from the school PTA and from a local moms group. Some were kind. Some were knives. I texted Harper. "She's live. Lying." Harper replied, "Don't engage. We hold the line." I tried. I sat on my hands on the couch like a child told not to touch a hot stove. Then Melissa said, "She's unstable. It's sad. We're worried about the kids being around her." Something in me stood up. I clicked, "Request to join." She hesitated on screen, then accepted with a sweet little smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Hi, Martha," she said to the camera, not to me. "We were just discussing boundaries." "Hi, I'm Melissa," I said, and my voice was calm enough that I surprised myself. "I love those kids. I'm not unstable. I'm done funding a life that treats me like an invoice." People flooded the comments. Someone typed, "Let her talk." Someone else typed, "Team Melissa." The feed burbled with strangers' certainty. "I'm sorry you feel that way," Melissa said, syrup thick. "I'm sorry you said I'm a walking wallet," I replied. "That never happened," she said brightly. I looked into the camera, the small digital eye that suddenly felt like a witness room. "I don't want to brawl online," I said, "so I'll play 10 seconds. I lifted my phone to the microphone and pressed play on the clip Harper had cleared me to use. Melissa's voice filled the live stream, brittle and unmistakable. She's basically a walking wallet. Silence fell in the comments like a dropped tray. Then an explosion. Wait, what? That's her voice? Not cool? Someone posted a clown emoji? Someone else typed, "Apologize." Melissa laughed a small, wrong laugh. "That's out of context," she said, but context was already dragging the clip across group chats and neighborhood pages. A local reporter DM'd me asking for a statement. I didn't reply. I ended my part of the live and closed my laptop because my hands had started to shake. The next morning, Melissa called in angry tears. "You cost me my job," she said. "They put me on leave pending review. This is your fault." "At will employment," I said, sounding exactly like Harper, and then softer. "I didn't cost you anything." "Your words did." Our town's Facebook group lit up like a bad bonfire. I didn't fan it. I didn't even watch it burn. I baked a banana bread and took half to Mrs. Larkin because kindness is a muscle, and I didn't want mine to atrophy while I flexed the new ones. 2 weeks after the live stream, a pale envelope with bold black letters appeared on Daniel and Melissa's front porch. It was a notice of default from their bank. Melissa snapped a photo and sent it to me with the words, "Look what you've done." I sat at my kitchen table staring at the message until the letters blurred, then turned my phone over. For once, I chose not to carry their panic as if it were mine. That evening, Daniel came to my door alone. His face was hollowed by sleepless nights, his coat half-buttoned, his voice nearly gone. He stood on the porch as if unsure he was welcome. "Mom," he said finally, "I don't know how to fix this." I let him in. He didn't sit right away, just moved slowly through the room, touching the edge of a chair, the corner of a photo frame, as if reacquainting himself with the home that raised him. Finally, he sank onto the couch and pressed his hands together. "I told myself your help was temporary," he said. "But then it became the plan. I treated you like a safety net that never breaks. I let Melissa's pressure drown out what I knew was wrong. And then I said those words at Christmas." He swallowed hard. "I can't believe I said them to you." I sat across from him, my hands folded, waiting. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his eyes shining. "Not just for the sentence. For all the ways I turned you into an institution instead of a mother." The room held stillness, thick as wool. "I'm sorry too," I said softly. "I blurred the line between love and money, but that line is drawn now." He nodded, defeated but lighter. "I'll stand before the family. I'll apologize in front of everyone. They need to hear it. I need to say it." I agreed, on one condition. No more online rants, no more threats, just truth. He promised. And when he left, I felt something shift. I hadn't won, but I had reclaimed my worth. That felt better than victory. The family gathered in my living room again, the same room where holiday lights had once framed my humiliation. I brewed coffee, set out lemon cookies, and tried to steady my breath. The couch groaned under the weight of cousins, aunts, and Daniel himself, who stood slowly, his hands trembling but his jaw set. "I need to say something," he began. The room hushed. "At Christmas, I told my mother that paying our bills didn't make her family. That was cruel. It wasn't true. She is my family. She's always been there, and I took that for granted. I'm sorry." The words cracked in the air like glass breaking. Some relatives shifted uncomfortably. Others stared at their laps. Melissa crossed her arms and rolled her eyes, but Daniel pressed on. "I don't want her money anymore," he said. "I want to be the father my kids can respect. I need to fix my life with my own 2 hands. That starts now." I rose, meeting his gaze. "I accept your apology, but I need you all to hear me clearly. I won't pay bills anymore. I won't be treated like a bank. Love is not measured in dollars. From now on, respect is the only currency between us." Melissa scoffed, her voice sharp. "So you ruin us, and you get applause for cookies and speeches?" "This isn't about reputation," I answered. "It's about dignity. And I'm sorry for one thing. Teaching you it was acceptable to treat me like an endless resource." The room fell into a silence that felt like a reset. Someone poured coffee just to fill the air. Afterward, people drifted out quietly. Daniel lingered. "We'll sell the second car," he said softly. "The bank's offering a hardship plan. It's on us now." I hugged him, holding longer than either of us expected. 6 months later, I stood on a bus headed for Lake Erie with a group of retirees, sunlight spilling across the seats. Daniel sent me photos of the twins laughing in the park. Melissa had left. He didn't explain, I didn't ask. When I hear that Christmas playlist now, I remember the night I said, "The ATM is closed." It wasn't an ending. It was my beginning. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy these family drama and revenge stories, please subscribe and join me for more every day.